as he breaks off in frame one. It would be an incredible story if he were to win. Joe Johnson alongside me for the final. I guess Joey has got to just kind of forget about all that's happened in the last half hour and just now concentrate, hasn't he?
How does he do that? Well, the excitement and the jester from Leicester, he likes a little bit of a laugh as well.
Well, I think Cat Duncan on the camera there, I think just got himself in a tangle. But anyway, sorted himself out.
Excellent pot. But that cue ball has just travelled a little far for the black.
Mark Selby, 1.
Joe Swail 3 years ago was runner-up in the Welsh Open, his first ranking tournament final. He'd lost in 9 semi-finals prior to that. But clearly since then his form deteriorated pretty badly, but he's got it back. And then some these last few days. Chose not to play in the Q School. I don't think he could quite face it so soon after the end of the season because it was played just after the World Championship. But decided to enter PTCs, give it a go. What a great decision. And because there are 8 places available for players outside the top 64, he'll be back on the tour next year. Meanwhile, Selby pots the first ball. Well, second ball, sorry.
Yes, and it was a good pot as well. Got that cue ball out of baulk. Just get the feeling that Joe needs to up his game a little. 37, his highest break in the last match. It was tough snooker though. Some hard fought safety play.
Five.
Great scene, isn't it? Full house, enthusiastic snooker fans here.
Nine.
Just didn't get enough stun on the cue ball. Trying Had to come round the two cushions for the two reds into the right corner. I don't think it's worthwhile taking this red on. It's very risky, with no guarantee of position.
Mark Selby, 16.
A little thin. Does this red go to the right corner? Was close.
An absolute hush now after all the hilarity in the last half an hour or so.
Well, from that angle, it looks like the red goes. He's right behind the shot, though.
One.
Very unfortunate for Joe Swail to push that red on.
Mark Selby won last year's final against Mark Davis 4-0.
8.
He has expended less mental energy getting to this year's final than his opponent. And of course we talk about Joe Swail dropping off the tour, but there were question marks over Mark Selby. He had that neck complaint, had to pull out of the China Open, was unable to play properly at the World Championship. A real worry for him. Seems to have cleared up now.
Yes, it certainly affected him in the World Championship, didn't it?
Yes, he lost to Barry Hawkins in the first round, but I mean, it wasn't really a match, to be perfectly honest.
17.
Left himself a nice angle on the black to go into them. And if he could hit the red above the black and to the left, with a lot of screw on the cue ball. Well, didn't get enough screw on it.
24.
Didn't catch the red thick enough. So just a safety shot.
Mark Selby, 24.
Dead on to the right corner. Can play up towards Bork with this shot. So you could call it a shot to nothing. Shots you expect Mark Selby to get. Has that long straight red to the right corner, but it's very risky to play it. He's considered the safety shot. And he's got a pretty good one.
So Joe Swail 41-0 down and finds himself on the baulk cushion in this opening frame. He's caught the pink.
Yes, it was a good safety. Dead on the cushion. Cut off the left side of the pack. The pink was always a danger. Fortunately, the black's gone safe.
One. Six. Seven.
Well, one good pot here, you would feel, and a good positional shot, and he should take this first frame. Not quite come far enough. Still work to be done yet. This isn't an easy pot. So again, no attempt at the pot, just keeping it ultra tight for Joe Swail, and another super safety shot. Can see that red, but it's no good to him. There's no colours down this end of the table. Again, didn't intend to hit the black, and that's left Mark Selby with half a chance.
Just looking to get in, isn't he? Leads 50-0, so you can pop the red on a colour. You'd fancy him to make it 1-0.
Again, it was never easy, that. What Joe Swail wants is an easy opening. Knock a few balls together.
Well, knowing Joe, he needs to go 3-0 down, and then he'll start playing. Well, he might be about to go 1-0 down. Selby leads by 54, 67 on.
4. 5.
So the blue would leave Swail requiring a snooker.
Yes, and he's been in full control in this game. Mark Selby, world number 1.
10.
Joe Swail did have a chance the last time he came to the table, but it was a difficult long pot.
11.
Hasn't had an easy chance in this frame, Joe Swail.
$16.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how this final pans out, but one thing I will say, I've said it already, that Swail all through his career has been
17.
At his best in adversity. I remember he beat Mark Williams one year at the Crucible. Well, it was when Mark was defending champion, 10-6 down, beat him 13-12. He beat John Parrott 13-12 from 12-8 down, and now, of course, it's the ultimate adversity. He's off the tour He's an amateur. He's also, Joe Swail, one of only 2 players to drop out not only of the top 16 but also the top 32 and then regain a top 16 place. In fact, he very nearly did it twice. You might remember the match he played against Liang Wenbo at the Crucible in 2008. If he'd have beaten him, he'd have been back in the top 16, having dropped out the top 32. But, well, this frame's gone. I think we can say that pretty safely. Rex Williams, the other one, if you were wondering.
23.
Selby, we know, is tough as old boots. That's a terrific all-round game.
29.
And despite all the laughing and joking, he's pretty tough inside as well. A great competitor.
Yes, you don't get to be number 1 in the world without having it all. And
36.
he's got it all.
He will be defending. The next tournament will be showing on Eurosport, the Shanghai Masters, in a few weeks' time. He was determined to pot all of these. He didn't want Swail to come back and have any sort of shot at all.
45.
Wanted to keep him in his seat. And that's what he's done.
$50. 56.
Great break, this. I was trying to Joe Swail double. Didn't quite come off. 56 from Mark Selby gives him the opening frame of the final. So Mark Selby 1, Joe Swail 0. Frame 2 is live after the break.
Where's the best place for bibimbap?
Les Jeux Olympiques d'hiver se dérouleront-ils à Pyeongchang?
هل أنتم حقا سابع أكبر مصدر في العالم؟
この歌手は誰ですか？你好，最近哪部电视剧的人气最旺？
Korea is attracting interest from around the world. The more you know, the more you want to know. Dynamic Korea.
Discover this month's great sporting events available on the Eurosport Player mobile application. So you don't miss out on any of the action, the mobile app gives you full live streaming access to Eurosport and Eurosport 2. Watch your favourite sports and stay connected when you're on the move. Because sport never stops, Eurosport Player is also available on Mac and PC. Eurosport Player, all sports, all emotions.
Welcome back to this Poul Hunter Classic final. Just first to 4. Remember, becomes champion Mark Selby, who is defending the title. Leads Joe Swail 1-0.
To break.
Well, again, Joe Swail, he's got a red to go at, but Again, it's a tough one, this. Black doesn't go, so he's going to have to play it at pace if he wants a colour from this. Doesn't have to take it on. And he hasn't done. But there is a red to the right centre. Played it in such a way as not to leave anything easy, that is. This long red to the left corner, well, it's got danger attached to it because he will be leaving the red to the right corner. And he's brought the black into play. That could be a disaster. Well, he's fortunate to have covered the red. But there is another red to the port corner.
One.
Yes, nicely played. Played it in such a way as not to leave anything, but the red he was playing on.
Six.
Yes, he would like to leave that red that's closest to the right corner pocket.
Seven.
Because if he can bring more reds into play, he'd have that red as insurance.
$14. 15. $22.
Still has one more loose red after this one.
23.
But he'd like to have been able to go into that cluster. But he's too straight.
$30. 31.
Nice angle on the blue. Now, how's your luck? Nothing easy.
36.
He split them well, but you don't always finish on one. He's a little unfortunate. He has a red to the left centre, but I'm not sure if he can pot that and get to the black. It's a deceiving angle, this picture of the table. It is again, he's gone into them nicely, caught the pink fairly full. That's a great recovery shot. That's a superb recovery shot. Well appreciated by this crowd.
Well, Joe Swail yet to pot a ball in this final.
And once he gets rid of this red to the middle, makes it easier to play onto the two reds just below it into the left corner.
43.
Inch perfect.
48.
Yes, what Mark Selby lacks in flair, he makes up for in care. Except when he's trying to keep hold of his chalk.
$49.
I'm sure the business with his neck was very concerning for him, but from what we've seen, he seems to be okay now. There's always a danger, of course, it could flare up again, I suppose.
Well, that was interesting. He didn't play for the red behind the black, and that was the easiest red to play for. Just shows you how tight these pockets are.
$57.
But so far, it's been a great break, this one. A little short with that one, though.
64.
Red and a big colour here would leave Joe Swail needing snookers. But he's not ideal on this red. He could try and play the cannon to the pink. Joe Swail just waiting for a chance. He hasn't had one yet.
Oh, he's got one now.
He's going to get one now, yes.
A miscue from Mark Selby. That was unexpected. He just needed red and a colour there. Well, that could be a really important moment.
It certainly could. Look at the reds. All there for the taking.
Didn't see that coming.
One.
He's got to take full advantage. He even brought the bad red off the cushion there, Mark Selby, in that miscue.
Well, these are the first balls he's potted in the match. This could be a very important frame, because Selby, who won the final 4-0 last year, was looking good for 2-0 there, and you'd have backed him to soldier on. That's the total points so far. His highest break against Barry Hawkins was just 37. It's going to have to be more this evening in the final.
if he wins this frame at this visit, it's going to be more.
16.
You would expect him to. He would expect himself to.
17.
I bet he feels like pinching himself that he's even out there. Because a couple of months ago he was in absolute despair, losing his professional status, not quite knowing what the future would hold for him. But here he is in a televised final.
Yes, I see.
Just spotted something on the cue ball.
Tried to go past the reds, but he's made them more difficult.
24.
Still go to the left corner. Just checking.
$25.
And that looks just about okay. That little nudge on the reds just
31.
made them a touch easier. 34 points behind.
32.
Didn't want to be straight on this red. Just makes it that little bit more difficult. Looking at taking the red to the centre now.
Selby was going so well on 64, miscued a couple of balls from 2-0.
Well, he could have left that one easier.
39.
These are real testers. Middle pocket's very tight from that angle. He's too high.
Joe Swail, 39.
And it was simply the shot before where he left himself a little straight on the black. Had to take the red to the middle. So, that miscue doesn't look as though he's going to pay the price.
They call Joe Swail the outlaw, but it's Mark Selby who's dodged a bullet here. Relief for Selby. And it does make a difference. This is such a short match. It's not like it's the world final where you've got 4 sessions. It's just first to 4. So every chance really does count, and that was a chance for Swail. But chance has gone now. It's going to be 2-0.
$11. $15. $20.
So the second time of asking, Mark
26.
Selby has done enough. Could have been a different story. But Swail failed to pot the last red, and Mark Selby has done enough to lead 2-0. Is it going to be the same as 12 months ago when he whitewashed Mark Davis? Joe Swail and his supporters hope not, but frame 3 is clearly going to be huge, and we'll see how it pans out right after this break.
Poker. It's all about deciding your game. What would you choose? I choose a different game experience. I can pick my favorites, my stakes, even my team. Easy. Or the knockout.
Join 888poker.net and play for free.
I'm Georges Saint-Pierre, and I play different. Do you?
888poker.net. We play different.
Morocco, the country that travels within you.
(2-0) to Mark Selby here at the Poul Hunter Classic final against Joe Swail. Terrific crowd again. They've been royally entertained with all the many matches they've seen around this venue, and it's all come down to this last one to decide the title. The players have just left the arena between frames, but Germany's been one of the great success stories of snooker, and there's the trophy. Poul Hunter won the German Open when it was a Pro-Am, and the tournament was named after him following his sad passing 6 years ago. He's a great supporter of snooker here, and it's taken off in a huge way, hasn't it? Not just this PTC and one later in the season, but also of course the German Masters, which is now certainly, I think, for the players, one of the top events of the year, because they know they're going to get great crowds and be treated really well in Germany. Well, Germany's treating Mark Selby pretty well. He won this tournament a year ago and 2 frames away from doing so again. Just working on the tip there, because of course he did miss cue. Hopefully no damage done. This next frame though is very important. Clearly 3-0. Selby's a heavy favourite. 2-1. Joe Swail still in there with a shout.
Yes, well, Mark Selby just having a little play with the tip there, and he was rubbing it with some ultra-fine sandpaper, which tells me he took a little bit out of the tip. So just taking those little fibres away. And it means so much to the players, having a good tip. Say his tip fell off or split there with that miscue, he'd have to put a new tip on, and he wouldn't be favourite then, I can tell you.
Well, there was a tournament once in Belgium where Stephen Hendry flew out Laurie Annandale to put a new tip on. Laurie was back in Scotland and Stephen got him on the plane because he needed one put on.
But that's how important it is. And there's JR.
Well, Dallas is making a comeback, and Joe Swail would like to make a comeback here. This feels a bit like a Dallas dream to him, I think, but it's real. But he's trailing 2-0.
Joe Swail to break.
Will Joe Swail fare any better here? Frame 3, but he's trailing by 2.
Well, that was going to be a bad break till he got that kiss. Well, it still could be a bad break. Cue ball finding the pocket. A little unfortunate, but it was a bad break off. Here it is again. Just caught them too thick. Got the kiss on the red. And look where the cue ball finished. The black goes to the right corner. The red's on to the left corner. If it goes in, you know he's playing well. And has the angle to go into them. Al chose not to.
8.
Still got a few reds that he can play on to before he does need to go into them.
Just a second, please. $15. $16.
Well, he's looking at the possibility of a 3-ball plant there to the left corner. There it is. The cameraman has kindly shown us what he's looking at. Hasn't played for it this shot.
21.
Now he's got the perfect angle to go into them, or play for that 3-ball plant, or indeed play for that loose red. He's got all kinds of options here. He's played for the 3-ball plant.
29.
And he might be able to bring more reds into play, depending on which side of the reds he hits them. Where's that cue ball gone? Well, that's so careless to have screwed directly and off from that easy plant to the corner. Straight in the middle. Well, Joe faced with another long pot. He hasn't knocked many in so far in this final, that is. He could do with one right now. Good shot. Just lost the cue ball a little. Tough black now. And the cue ball's going into the reds. Yes, nicely played, and deserved better. Yes, it's still on the red to the left corner, but it could have been so much easier. Played into the reds, just caught them too thin. And as David Hendon said earlier, when his back's against the wall, Joe Hurst normally comes out fighting. Another great pot. No. Well, I thought it was going to go in the pocket. So close. And there's that smile from Joe Swail again. So nice to see.
Well, it seems every shot is an adventure with Joe. Mark Selby doing the old banging the foot on the floor.
Well, he can go directly into the reds from the pink. He's considering taking the black. He's got to go into them with pace here. Oh, he's unlucky. I'll say it again, he's on a red to the left corner, but it could have been so much easier. Just didn't catch them full enough. Skimmed off them. He does seem to be enjoying himself out there, and that's half the battle, to be able to enjoy your game.
Joe Swail, 15.
No damage done. Or is there? Can't get through the gap, surely. To the red in the middle. Surely not. Well, that's a careless shot, you've got to say, from Mark Selby. Shouldn't have cannoned the yellow. It's given Joe Swail another half chance here.
One.
Nicely played. Well, he'll get a bit of running sometime. Got the cannon to the black, but pushed it close to the cushion. And although he may pot the black, where's the next red coming from? Does that red go through that gap? Well, he's not considering playing the plants, surely. That would be risky. I think he is. Must be something about trying to screw it off in the middle pocket.
Well, there's going to be a slight hold up here. The referee's gone to talk to the marker about something. It might be a mistake on the scoreboard.
Please remove a red from the table.
I think an extra point's gone on somewhere, which of course could make a lot of difference later on.
Yep.
Well, it doesn't appear to be any damage done from that risky plant that Joe Swail played, except he could be in trouble next shot. That cue ball should be dead on the cushion behind the yellow. That's pretty good. He's left this red on to the left corner, but there's a red to the middle if he misses it. Double kisses on if he plays the safety. So close. But he's pushed it over the other corner. Doesn't seem to get away with anything, Joe Swail. Not so far in this match. Well, has he got away with it?
You were saying?
Well, he's still left a red to the middle. But that one's much tougher than that one over the pocket. Considering playing off the cushion and playing to pot the red. And he's got it.
It's a great pot because the red wasn't bang over the pocket.
Yes, the important part of that shot, of course, was moving the red, getting that cue ball up the table, which is what he did. Lots of right-hand side on the cue ball.
6.
And of course, whatever happens here for Selby, whether he wins or not, he's going to extend his lead at the top of the ranking list. Judd Trump, his closest pursuer, was knocked out by Barry Hawkins in an earlier round. There's only ever been 9 players in the 36-year history of the world ranking list who've been world number 1, so it's a proud achievement for Selby. Plenty of great players were never world number 1.
14.
Left a nice angle on the black to go into them. And that'll do nicely. 27 points in the game.
21.
Yes, doesn't need to worry about the red on the cushion. That's his security if something goes wrong.
22.
Which of course it did in the last frame when he miscued. A couple of balls from victory. Joe Swail, though, in his chair, fearing now that he's going to be 3-0 down.
$27. 28.
Just overrun that one slightly. But no problem.
41 in front, 43 available, so this red becomes frame ball for 3-0. And so far, he's done what he did last year. Dominate in the final. He beat Mark Davis 4-0. And he leads Joe Swail here 3-0.
Yes, the turning point, David, has to be that second frame. When Joe Swail was clearing up, should have made it 1 each.
Mark Selby.
I just wonder if Joe Swail couldn't have done with a bit longer between matches just to kind of come down from the elation of that semi-final. Well, he's going to have to pull out one of his trademark fight backs. It's not beyond him, we know that from his career, but he's in big trouble here because Mark Selby's a frame from victory. He leads by 3 frames to 0.
Time, it's only time. We are in this time. It's just
as life moves ever faster, we're an engine that helps your business accelerate. We're an eye that examines your health. We're a gentle light that guides you home. Wish for something better. Trust us to create it.
Giving shape to ideas. Konica Minolta.
Where's the best place for bibimbap?
Les Jeux Olympiques d'hiver se dérouleront-ils à Pyeongchang?
هل أنتم حقا سابع أكبر مصدر في العالم؟
この歌手は誰ですか？你好，最近哪部电视剧的人气最旺？
Korea is attracting interest from around the world. The more you know, the more you want to know. Dynamic Korea.
Welcome back to Fürth in Germany. Well, how many more frames are we going to see in this final? Mark Selby hopes just 1 because he leads 3-0. So if he wins this 4th frame, he is the champion for a 2nd year running.
Thank you.
Joe Swail once again required to pull something very special out of the bag. He got his nickname the Outlaw from Alan Hughes, great MC of years gone by, who was a fan of the film The Outlaw Josie Wales, and he thought Joe's name was just about close enough, Joey Swail. He's come so far, hasn't he, just to get to the final as an amateur, but he's really up against it here.
Yes, and he's faced with that long red again. And he knows now that any mistake could be all over. Well, it was a great attempt to the pocket. He intended it to go in. Who would begrudge him a little bit of luck? Mark Selby, maybe.
And his family.
And it wasn't an easy black, that I can tell you.
Well, we know he'll give it everything, as he always does.
Hasn't quite come far enough for the red that he played for into the middle. This is the red into the corner. Wasn't far away in the left corner pocket. Found it in the right. We see that happen a lot in snooker. Well, is he considering another plant? Cost him the frame in the last one.
Well, he considered it, but only briefly.
Right. That's a good recovery shot. You've got to really admire Joe Swail's battling qualities. If he can find the gap between the pink and the red, well, that's just as good. He'd be very unfortunate not to be on one. And he's on one.
14.
Didn't hold back there at all.
Well, it's up to you now, Joe. You've fashioned the opening.
Yes, it's about taking the right reds now. This is the one that leads him to the pink. The one over the right corner pocket would be stopping the pink going into that pocket. So maybe that red at some stage.
21.
Very nearly got the cover, but he's on it.
He has had to battle in his life. He's partially deaf, Joe Swail. And he also has this cue action, Joe, that is quite unusual, but it works for him. That's the bottom line.
Yes, it does. And, well, Ray Reardon had an opposite type of action. He went on the inside. It didn't do him any harm, not having that straight up and down action that most players have. He gets through the ball straight, and that's the main thing. A lot of the carom players play similar to Joe Swail. Pure determination, that, wasn't it? Has he hit it hard enough?
Well, as you see, an hour's playing time. It looks like he can just see this black, but you do feel he's walking a bit of a tightrope here. But as long as they go in, that's all that matters.
Yes, and this is an important red as well, because that clears the way for the pink going into the corner.
36.
You've got to remember that this is the first real chance he's had in this final. He's been totally outplayed so far by Mark Selby.
Well, that's reflected in the pot success, Joe. 13% between them. Selby on 91, Swail 78, but that's going to go up here as long as he keeps potting. And Mark Selby would be well aware of Joe Swail's various dramatic comebacks down the years, so he knows it's not over yet.
Yes, I forgot about that attempted clear-up in the second frame. He was in there as well, wasn't it? Well, he made that clear-up. It could have been a lot closer, this match.
Northern Irish Snooker has, of course, moved on in recent times with Mark Allen, won the World Open last season. He's got a proud history. Alex Higgins and Dennis Taylor, both world champions. Both legends of the sport. And both very, very determined competitors.
56.
Well, 62 in front, red and another pink, and Mark Selby would need a snooker.
It's not a gimme, this red, though. And he's got to be careful. They're all there for the taking.
63.
He'd obviously like another red as well, but first of all, this pink has to go in.
Yes, it was a very important fluke that he got at the beginning of this break. But there was nothing fluky about the rest of it.
As I say, just one more red and that should ensure it's his frame. And, well, highs break 37 in the semi-final, but he's increased that appreciably here.
70.
And we know Joe Swail, he's not going to lie down. He is going to fight to the last ball. It was the last ball in the semi-final. Of course, he doubled the black to beat Barry Hawkins. I think it's fair to say, regardless of whether he's the winner of this tournament, he's certainly been the star to come all the way from the first amateur qualifying round to the final. And the manner in which he's done it, smiling and entertaining.
77.
I'm sure this crowd here in Fürth want him to make this final a lot closer. Well, he's made a good start. He's won the fourth frame.
83.
Not a century, but nevertheless a very timely 83 from Joe Swail. As Joe Johnson said, it started with a fluke, but the rest of it, excellent. And he's got a frame on the board. Mark Selby's lead reduced here to 3-1.
Morocco, the country that travels within you.
Time, it's only time. We are in this time. It's just
As life moves ever faster, we're an engine that helps your business accelerate. We're an eye that examines your health. We're a gentle light that guides you home. Wish for something better. Trust us to create it.
Giving shape to ideas. Konica Minolta.
A couple of people on Twitter asking me why we're saying Joe Swail's an amateur. Well, just to reiterate, I know some people don't realise, he was relegated from the professional tour at the end of the season, dropped out of the top 64, off the circuit. But anyone can enter the PTCs, professional or amateur. If you pay your entry fee, you can play. He did, and he's in the final, but he's trailing 3-1 to Mark Selby. Safety stats certainly favouring Selby.
Yes, he's finding that top cushion. Every time he comes to the table, and that keeps the pressure on Joe Swail. Again, that red on the left side cushion is creating the problems for Joe Swail. If he comes off the reds on the left side of the table, good chance of going into that red. And if he cannons it, he leaves the one in the middle. So I had to think carefully about that. He's done the same thing. That could be his last shot. The black's free. The red passes the green. And just when they put the stats up for the safety, Selby gets another good safety shot, and it's earned him a chance.
Well, we've got stats for everything, it would seem. Potted twice as many balls. He'd like to pot a few more here and get this one out of the way.
Just not quite gone far enough onto the blue. It took the more difficult ground to come round for this red. Another great shot from Mark Selby. Again, that wasn't an easy shot to play, but he's left himself with a nice angle on the black to go into that cluster now. That's opened up another 2 or 3 reds.
17.
Well, certainly, if he looks back at the last frame, he didn't do anything wrong, did he? Swail fluked a red, so he got nothing really to reproach himself for. OK, he left a chance at the red, but Swail still fluked it, then he made a good break.
Well, that's a good positive way of looking at things. Unfortunately, when you're sat in your chair, you don't always think like that. But that's exactly the right way to think. Didn't do anything wrong. Just wait for my chance.
Yes, and I think he is pretty positive, isn't he, generally, Selby?
Well, it has to be, doesn't he? He's #1 in the world. If you're not positive at #1 in the world, what do you have to do? Yeah, great player. Great all-round player. Didn't play that one well, though. Wanted that black to bounce. Another 2 or 3 inches. It's still on. But a lot more difficult.
Mark Selby, 18.
Well, it was close, but no cigar. He's left a possible red to the middle, and if you remember, Barry Hawkins had one like this. Just needs to drop it in, bounce that cue ball far enough so he doesn't leave the red onto the left corner. And the black sat there waiting. Tough shot, this. Badly hampered. Nicely played. Now he's got the choice now of going into that cluster of reds or playing for that loose one just above the black. And there's no right and wrong shot to play. Decided to go into them. He's on one to the middle, I think.
8. 9.
He's in.
Yes, and he's just made 83 in the last frame, so he's found his potting boots in this final.
Oh, that was a delicate shot. Has he gone too far?
16.
That was such a delicate positional shot he was playing there, trying to hold for the red. Well, his body language is telling us that it's still on, this red. He isn't nodding. There it goes. Had to play it with a bit of side. A little careless to have cannoned into the yellow, but it's still on, this red to the left corner.
22.
Well, he's taking the scenic route again, isn't he?
Joe Swail.
No.
22.
Well, it's obviously more difficult when you lose prime position to keep going.
Yes, they're never easy, those long shots, are they? It was the cannon on the yellow that created the problem. Could have done with a big break there. A couple of quick frames. Made it 3-2. And now he's going to have to wait and hope he gets in again. Certainly entertained us, Joe. But so has that man. Played immaculate snooker in the first three. Had it not been for that miscue, it'd have been faultless. Oh, didn't want that angle. Needs a bit of luck now. He's got it. Well, he didn't have much at the start of this match, but he's getting a little bit now. You've got to be fair and say he didn't have a lot against Barry Hawkins either, but he got it when it mattered.
Well, it did matter there because that could have been end of match if he'd have left a red on.
Well, that long red, surely too risky to play, unless he could screw back to balk from it, which makes it a lot more difficult. Well, he had a go. He needs some luck, and he hasn't got it this time. As they red onto the baulk corner, and if this one goes in, they're all there for the taking. It's one good shot.
One.
There it goes. And that could be fatal for Joe Swail.
Eight.
Attempted to play onto the red to the left of the black, but it doesn't make any difference.
9.
Well, he was here in a similar position last year against Mark Davis. He needed a couple of chances to win the clinching frame. Finished off very nicely 12 months ago. And after the uncertainty at the end of last season with his neck problems, this would be a real boost for Selby so early in the season to win what's becoming an increasingly prestigious tournament, bearing in mind all the support it has locally.
$17. $24.
Well, that didn't go according to plan. He's still on this red to the right corner. Joe Swail looks on with hope. Is there a kick there somewhere? Good recovery shot.
He is good at those, isn't he, when there's pressure on, as there was here. Just recovering the situation. Of course, he did what Poul Hunter did 3 times. Hunter at Wembley won the Masters in a decider. Selby beat Ronnie O'Sullivan in a decider. He's won it twice. Poul Hunter cruelly taken from us, but it's great that he's been remembered
30.
In this way, and particularly a tournament that attracts such a huge audience, because he certainly did when he played.
$31.
So 27 points in front. He's going to need 2 of these last 3 reds. pretty sure one of those reds
38.
will go to the left middle. He's just having a look to see if it goes to the corner, which would make things a lot easier. But it definitely goes to the middle. .34 points in front. So this red, black and red wouldn't need a colour.
39.
Just having a look to see if it goes to the middle. Looks like it will from here. If it goes to the corner, then it's no problem.
Well, he keeps on having a look. It's obviously very tight.
Well, David's got his pen out, so does it go, David?
I'm not sure. I think I need another pen.
Well, he thinks it goes to the corner, but he's not right behind it.
Well, he better be sure. He better be right, because this is for victory. In it goes. Looks like the outlaw is about to be run out of town. But what a terrific tournament Joe Swail has had. It's great to see him back in the big time. Not on the professional circuit, but poised to return next season. And plenty more PTCs for him to come as well.
Here, here. As you said earlier, David, the game needs him. He's such a breath of fresh air. Smiled all the way through the tournament. And great to see him back on centre stage.
Well, we'll long remember the way he finished off his semi-final. But this man is so hard to beat, isn't he, Mark Selby? He's like granite.
Certainly played well in this final.
58.
Deservedly so, a winner.
He's just strong in so many departments. Certainly his safety game has been good.
60.
And he's going out here with a big break as well.
$63. $67.
So there is to be no final chapter in the Joe Swail fairy tale here in Fürth. But he can hold his head up high the way he's performed. Fact is, Mark Selby's the world number one. Nobody beat him here last year, and nobody's beaten him here this year. He's defended the title in fine style.
78.
And he's going to keep that trophy with the image of Poul Hunter etched on it for another year. Great clearance as well to win it. 85 from Mark Selby, who for a second year running wins the Poul Hunter Classic. And as they were 12 months ago, the crowd rise to applaud him. That second frame, I think, was crucial. Joe Swail did have a chance to clear up, couldn't take it, and Mark Selby beats him by 4 frames to 1. We will hear from the players. Rolf Kaubel to the interviews for us. He'll translate them into German for the local crowd. And then the presentation of the trophy, as I say, Selby's had on the mantelpiece or wherever he keeps his trophies for the last year. He's going to have it for another year. A great tournament again, but we end with the same champion as last year. Here's Rolf. Mr. Snooker in Germany, and he's going to speak, I think, first to Joe Swail.
Well, Joe, it's always disappointing to lose a final. Let's have a look to the camera. It's always disappointing to lose a final. But all in all, I think with your performance over these days here at Fürth, you must be very, very happy.
Yeah, not bad for an amateur, eh? Yeah, it's been unbelievable. I mean, I'm not even practicing and coming here and no expectations whatsoever. And to get to the final, it's just been unbelievable for me. And but I think I wouldn't have done it only for all your support. And you got me through a lot of the matches, and I'm delighted. And I'm hoping to come back for more.
Ja, ich denke, Sie haben es verstanden. Er hat selber von sich nichts erwartet, aber ist einfach glücklich und dankt allen auch für die Unterstützung, die ihm geholfen hat, durch diese Matches durchzukommen. Joe, drama in the quarterfinal, drama in the semifinal. Please tell me, where can I buy nerves like yours?
There's always drama in my life. There's always drama, believe me. No, it was unbelievable. I just thought I'd go for my shots, and lucky enough all these doubles paid off, you know, so I might have a few doubles tonight.
Ja, er sagte also, es war unglaublich. Drama gibt's immer in seinem Leben. Ein paar Doppel hat er ja gelocht in den Matches und da kann er sich heute Abend auch noch ein paar Doppelte erlauben. Thank you very much, Joe. Thanks a lot. Mark, oops, you did it again.
Yeah, I mean, fantastic really. It was only a few months ago I was struggling to play with my neck injury, and obviously my game wasn't that great, and thanks to obviously people like Del here who I went to see, and he seemed to get me back on track, and also my wife Vicky obviously for supporting me all the way. I mean, the last few months I've been a nightmare to live with, but yeah, I'm just happy to get my game back, and I'd just like to thank all the fans for obviously being fantastic this week, and also the sponsors Betfair and Arcade, and thank you to TC and Brandon for putting on another great tournament again, and look forward to coming back next year.
Vor ein paar Monaten mit seiner Nackenverletzung, da sah es noch ganz schlecht aus. Also er dankt den vielen, die ihm geholfen haben, da wieder sein Spiel wieder zu finden, auch seiner Frau Vicky, die ihn immer unterstützt hat. Dank den Sponsoren, dank den Leuten, die dieses Turnier gemacht haben und dank natürlich auch Ihnen, den Fans. But all in all, Mark, you're not only number one in the ranking, you're number one with a big lead, but you are always committed. You play more tournaments like nearly everybody else. You always give 100%. So what's your motivation to work such hard?
Just enjoying the game, really. I mean, I try and enter every tournament I can, and like you say, you only live once and you have a short career, so try and play as much as you can. But yeah, I'm number one in the world at the moment, but there's a lot of great players out there. I mean, Joe showed this week. I mean, for me, he should still be on the tour, but he's come here as an amateur, played fantastic, and so I hear he's back on the tour next year, so congratulations, Joe.
Er gehört ja zu den Vielspielern und sagt deshalb auch, er spielt ganz einfach so viel, weil es ihm Spaß macht, weil es ihm Freude macht, und dann noch lobende Worte über den Gegner Joe Swail, der im nächsten Jahr sicherlich wieder auf der Main Tour sein würde. Mark, thanks a lot and congratulations.
Well, two nice guys, and they both spoke well. TC, who Mark Selby referred to, is Thomas Sessal. He's the promoter from Dragon Stars, and he's going to present the trophy along with Norman Nyrig from Arcaden, one of the sponsors. So we just see a few images from the final. As I say, that second frame, I suppose Joe Swail would look back on. It was his chance to make it 1-1. Did win the fourth frame, but even for him it was a long way back against Selby, who he's so tough when he's playing well to overturn. Just while we watch these images, I can tell you that our next snooker will be September the 17th, Shanghai Masters, 7 days of coverage. It'll be live on both Eurosport channels, so we'll have 2 table coverage. September the 17th, Shanghai Masters, defending champion, a certain Mark Selby. And he's heading back to Leicester tomorrow with another trophy.
Vize-Champion beim Arkaden Poul Hunter Classic 2012 aus Belfast, the outlaw Joe Swail.
Well, he smiled all the way through this tournament, and he's given the audience a lot to smile about as well. What a great tournament he's had. Good to see him back after dropping off the tour. And as Mark Selby said, he's going to re-qualify now through his achievements here.
Der erste Sieg auf der Betfair European Tour. Das Preisgeld, die Punkte, der Pokal und der Titel Arkaden Poul Hunter Classic Champion 2012 gehen an Mark the Marvelous Selby.
So as it was a year ago, Mark Selby, the Poul Hunter Classic champion, he has that trophy with that lovely image of Paul, and he'll have that for another year. Terrific tournament, terrific win by a terrific player, Mark Selby, the champion again. So that's it then. Thanks for being with us for our coverage of the Poul Hunter Classic. As I say, next snooker, September 17th, the Shanghai Masters. So put that in your diary, September the 17th, we start in Shanghai. Mark Selby will be defending that title. He's going home with that lovely trophy. So thanks for your company. From me, David Hennon, and Joe Johnson, good night.
Talk Sport, so many emotions. September on Eurosport.
Who's going to judge it perfectly? Phelps is short, he kicks in, and he just holds it. 51.21.
Gold for Great Britain! Jess Ennis is Olympic champion.